All right, so after you've accessed Get in the Zone, the Psychology of Video Game Design at HMH Ed Unit 5, let's take a look at the Get Ready section. Scroll on down, you'll see the image that illustrates this informational text article, and continue scrolling down the page until you get to the section that has the subheading Analyze Subjective and Objective Point of View. Yesterday we talked about these two terms and introduced them using our informational text study guide. Whenever we talk about point of view, it is referring to the perspective from which an article, because we're reading nonfiction, is written. A first-person point of view uses pronouns such as I, me, and we. In grammar, we refer to these as personal pronouns. A third-person point of view uses pronouns such as he, she, it, and they. Authors of nonfiction write in a subjective or objective point of view. When an author is using a subjective point of view, they include their own personal thoughts, opinions, and emotions. This can lead to bias because they are sharing their feelings, which can influence a reader. When an author is using an objective point of view, the author presents only the facts. They are sharing the information with you in an unbiased way. A subjective point of view, however, is not always a bad thing. Okay? Authors can definitely use it to make writing more interesting. They can share their reaction to certain things or to certain people, and you'll see examples of that in our article that we're reading today. Tied closely to the point of view that an author chooses is the language that they use while they're writing. All right? Their voice, which we also think of as their style of writing, is a part of the nonfiction written text. Also, the author's tone or their attitude toward a subject is a very important part of informational text. Voice and tone can influence the author's point of view. As you read the selection, consider how the author's use of language shapes the voice and tone and develops the point of view on the article. Think about the author's purpose in choosing a specific point of view. One thing to clarify for you, when we're talking about their voice or even their tone, we are not discussing at that point how the author or the narrator expresses themselves when you hear like an audio version of a text. It is strictly referring to the language choices that the author makes in the informational text. There are 5 vocabulary words that you should be on the lookout for while we read the article. We have absorb, wholly, immerse, irrelevant, and disorient. These will be the words that have the little speech bubbles beside them. You'll notice them as we read, and you can select those speech bubbles and be able to see a very clear definition of the word, and we'll practice with those later. You can click the arrow on the right side and it will take you to the read, where we'll find our article. Get in the Zone, The Psychology of Video Game Design, an informational text by Aaron Millar, I believe is how his name is pronounced. Some background. There's no question that video games are a popular pastime. From the appearance of the first video game consoles and arcade video games in the 1970s to today's generation of online 3D and virtual reality games, they have captured the attention of players of all ages. Players have their favorite games, but what makes some games more popular than others? In this selection, author Aaron Millar gives his answer to that question. So when did video games first get invented? Yes, but way back in the 1940s. Why do you think they're saying 1970s in this intro? Right, there were arcades and people were first able to have consoles in their own homes. Okay, back in the 70s. So they just kind of took a little chunk of time there, but you got to be introduced to some of that. As you read, pay attention to clues in the text that help you to predict what the author will discuss in each section. Think, too, about whether the author's point of view is largely subjective, largely objective, or a mix of both, and how you can tell it. So right there you can tell that whenever you're reading, that not everything has to be objective and not everything it will be subjective, that there probably will be a mix of both or they wouldn't have pointed that out to you. Okay? All right, let's start by using the audio here. And this is a great intro. You're going to like it. Hang on. Sorry, that's my fault. I did not have my volume turned on.
Informational text by Aaron Millar. The dragon rises above me, breathing flames into the night air. Stone ramparts crumble in the township. Houses burn. Screams echo all around me. I have only one chance. His jaws open. I draw my sword. But before I can react, he's snatching me into his talons, throwing me in his mouth, and the hero dies. In exactly the same place, again. It's completely unfair. I throw my control pad on the floor, scream at the screen, and walk out of my bedroom in disgust.
One of the things I like that the audio allows us to do is hear this change that the narrator is able to express really well here in an audio. We can hear when the narrator goes from being a participant playing a video game to suddenly they're and describing the action and what's happening to the change. You can hear it in the voice of describing his reaction to the frustrations that he encountered while playing the video game. This first annotation box asks you to please highlight the details in paragraph 1 in which the author is talking about himself. How do you think the author chose this point of view? How does this convey the author's voice? So go back and look at your paragraph 1 and look for places where the author is showing that he is a part of that paragraph, and then write 1 or 2 sentences about why you think he chose to use that point of view, and how does it convey the author's voice. Author uses a first-person subjective point of view. Okay, he probably does this to make an immediate connection with his readers by revealing his own love of video games. All right, back to paragraph 2.
Sound familiar? Frustration is something every gamer knows all too well. But why do some video games completely absorb us in their world, while others leave us howling at the screen? The answer has less to do with your ability to press buttons than it does with what's happening in your brain. Good games are designed to get you in the zone, a heightened state of concentration and enjoyment that psychologists call flow. In a state of flow, even the most difficult tasks feel effortless and easy to complete. Just beat your best lap time by 10 seconds? That's flow. Killed the monster you were stuck on for 2 weeks? Welcome to the zone. In a flow state, explains psychologist Jamie Madigan, author of PsychologyOfVideoGames.com, You don't have to think. Your performance is automatic. The rest of the world falls away, and you are wholly focused on the screen. Top athletes and rock stars describe this state of mind when they're performing at their best. But gamers have an edge. Unlike the real world, video games are designed to get us into this state as quickly as possible and keep us there. It's why we play. Flow is fun. But some games are better than others, and here's why. Challenge.
Okay, we're going to pause there. All right, look at the explanation that Jamie Madigan gives. Highlight it, please. Okay, what topic is he talking about? Anyone? Huh? You do have that in paragraph 4.
Like he says, you don't have to think your performance is automatic. The rest of the world falls away and you are fully focused on the screen.
Okay. Even before that, right before it tells you who he is, it says in a flow state. All right, that's the topic of what he is talking about. Is he someone whose opinion we should trust?
Yes.
Okay, we can see this because he is a psychologist as well as the author of Psychology of videogames.com. All right, that he is considered an expert. So look at your annotation and make your annotation following paragraph 4. Just below the picture, we see a subheading that says challenge. Okay? What information is a subheading giving to us when we're reading an article? Not the picture.
Showing us what that specific part of the paragraph is.
Yes, okay? The subheading tells us what the following section or group of paragraphs should be about. All right, so let's see if it holds up. We're supposed to be reading about challenge in the next few paragraphs.
If you kill the dragon the first time, it's boring. Don't kill him the 100th time, and it's just plain annoying. Flow happens only when there's a perfect balance between the challenge of the game and the skill level of the player. It should be difficult, Madigan says, but just possible. The reason has to do with the amount of information our minds can hold at any one time. Imagine your brain is like a backpack. If it's filled to the top with just the skills required for the game, there's no room left for any distractions. You're completely immersed in that imaginary world. But put in too much, and your backpack will break. You'll get stressed and fed up with playing. Too little, and you'll start thinking about that party next week. It's a delicate balancing act. In order to keep us in the zone, games have to increase their level of difficulty at precisely the same rate at which players improve their level of skill. And everyone's different. The secret, according to Madigan, is designing games that have really clear feedback so that you know when you're doing something well or poorly and why. Focus.
Okay, so in this section, did it stay true to the subheading, challenge? Did you find references to challenge in each of those 3 paragraphs? All right. What kind of figurative language is used in paragraph 6? We don't often think of figurative language as being a part of informational text, but it truly is. Yes. All right. So it tells us right there that imagine your brain is like a backpack. Okay, this is a simile. All right, it's a comparison between 2 things using like or as. All right, we will continue analyzing this and reading after lunch.
Imagine fighting a horde of zombies while being distracted by something